in lesson 331 in A Course in Miracles, it says, there is no conflict. My will is yours. I think that's what it says. There is no conflict, or my will is yours. And it talks about how all there is forgiveness, which is basically acceptance for what is, for you, for me, for everything. And then it talks about how we can let go of the illusion of fear. Like, fear is conflict. And it reminds me how, like, I just want to keep this one short because my phone says I only have so many minutes of recording time. And I have a lot of driving left today. So I know I could talk forever. But there is no conflict. I say that to myself a lot when I'm in like this, like when I recognize an attack thought in myself, meaning what this book talks about is attack thoughts or judgments, criticisms, wherever love isn't. It feels like there's an attack on something, or if I'm thinking in that us versus them, black and white thinking, whatever, it's conflict. Then I say to myself, there's no problem here. There's literally no problem here. And so and it talks about how there is no conflict, for my will is yours, my will for peace. It talks about how without conflict, there's simply just peace. It made me think about how oblivious I can be sometimes. Like when the way I think colors what I see. So when I used to think everyone was being critical of each other and of me, it's because I was actually the one being critical. I was thinking in that way. So that's when you get on the defensive, like, don't get mad at me, and you feel like you're being defensive. Like you're always in reactionary mode because I'm looking out at the way people are talking to each other, to me, whatever, and saying, that's all attack. That's all, everyone's being critical and judging each other. And nowadays, for a long time, honestly, but especially the more and more I think about this stuff and just come to a place of peace in my own life and doing more self-love work and all of that, and I hear conversations, and now what jumps out to me are all the love conversations, good things, and joy. And so that's what I notice more. And it really is. And so sometimes when I said I was oblivious, like there might be that stuff going on just as much as ever, like the criticisms and judgments, but I'm the one not noticing them because what my antennas seem to be tuned into more are like love. Where is the love happening? Where are the good things? Or interesting conversations, or what if conversations, anything except like, oh, isn't this bad today? You know, what's going on in the world? And so it's weird how, I think I said this recently, like when you buy a red car and all you see are red cars now. So it really is like that whole, I'm going to commit to not seeing conflict. And I do that by working on myself to remove where I feel and see conflict within me. And then I won't see it out there. So it's again, the inner is the outer. Like how I feel inside is, you know, what I see on the outside. And if all I feel is conflict and persecution of myself, and meaning judgment, criticism, then that's what I'm going to see in everybody. And for me, luckily, thankfully, with the nowadays, somewhere along the line, it's been, you know, the turnover. And so it might be a long, slow process. And then look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't see that out there as much anymore. And it's still happening the same amount. It's just the way my perspective has shifted. And so it brings me a lot of compassion. Again, with this past week of having these deeper conversations with my loved ones, that part of the reason it's been hard to communicate with family in a deeper way is when when we were both in that way of perceiving attack, and so we preemptively like shut down, or we go on the defense. And now, having turned the corner on that to some extent, I mean, there's probably a lot more to heal and look at and slowly shift, because it's a slow roll for me. But to see now, I can see clearly now. Like when my loved ones, who I'm trying to have a better relationship with, a more real relationship with, now it's easier for me to see that getting stuck in that, it's so easy to get stuck in that loop of attack and preemptive attack and defenses, that I just call it out when I see it in a loving way, like not like, see what you're doing, no, like, you know, in the most like, hey, you know, pointing it out. I don't have a good example. And then, for example, my mom was like, yeah, I never realized that before till I heard myself saying it, like when I pointed it out and repeated what she said. And she, you know, so sometimes it takes like holding up the mirror. And I've had a mirror held up to me many times, and sometimes I didn't recognize when that mirror was being held up, I'm sure. And now it's like, if I say something, I can really hear it resonate. My like, wow, that felt like an attack thought, or it felt like I was going on the defense before there was any reason to. And so these things get easier to recognize and even hold up mirrors to other people in a very loving way. And I don't do it to everybody, but now I'm attuned to hearing that, because I've had to look at it in myself, and I still, part of me is like, how much am I still doing it? Does it worry you when I talk with my hands when I'm driving? Don't worry, my knees are driving. I'm a good knee driver. So so all of that to say, I feel like at some point there's a choice to see things in the light of conflict or in the light of love, which is the light of conflict or the light of just acceptance, which this lesson really points to forgiveness. It says that word. And so, but sometimes it doesn't feel like a choice if this isn't even an idea that there can be anything but conflict, especially if we watch the news all day. So my heart goes out if there's not even that awareness yet. But once there is an awareness, then that's where our agency of choice can come in, to say, I can see where, now not everywhere in my life can I choose, maybe, but maybe there is a place in my life where I can start to choose love. I can start to choose to accept things as they are, or at least accept myself. You know, even when on my bad days, just say, hey, it's okay. You don't have to be anything other than in a bad mood today, and that's okay. And so that's what I loved about this lesson, is like, when you do, like, it felt like there was a choice moment in this, moving from conflict to acceptance. And the other thing in this lesson made me think about is how it's very empowering. Like, we can build up our sense of empowerment, whatever you want to call that, by saying, yeah, I do have a choice. If we say we don't have a choice, we feel like we're the victim and our hands are tied. But if we say, wait a minute, I do have a choice, we don't have to then turn around and say, oh, and shame myself for not having made the right choice all along. Because I feel like that's I've seen it and I felt it. There's a quick turnaround back at the shaming self once we say, oh, I have a choice and I haven't done it right all this time. Oh, I'm so bad. No, so I would be wary of that, to say, okay, I have a choice. Isn't that liberating? Now I can choose a different way. And I know it's hard, and I'm not going to shame myself when I slip up over and over and over again. That's hard too. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking, because there's not much more to say for me about this other than moving from conflict to acceptance is a choice at some point. And we have all of the power to do that. I believe it.